Welcome to Subramani. Uh, Many people have a perception about equity returns, and they ask questions like, will equities give me a 25% return or a 18% return or any such number, literally picked up from the air, or based on some article which they've read somewhere saying that markets will give 8% return or 23% return, or somewhere they get this. So let us understand one thing. Too many people are reading books on the power of positive thinking, or how there should be goal-based investing. So you have a goal that I have to get 20% return or 15% return. You're setting a goal does not mean the market has to give you that 15% return. Okay, it is not likely to happen that you get a 15% return. So you have a perception that if you set a goal you will get that kind of a return. The answer is wrong. The perception is wrong. One thing about equity returns is there is no pattern, right? It's like the production of pig and pig iron. So if you draw a line, you will find a fantastic correlation, and that does not mean there is a correlation. So first of all, equity, when you start investing, you have to understand that there is no pattern. It is not as though like PPF gives you 7% return or approximately, you will get a consistent return in equity. No, it is impossible. So if you invest in a 5-year time horizon, or you have invested in 2016 or 2017 and you are looking at it 5-6 years from then, we are in 2023, so you're talking of 5-6 years, it is possible that you got all the return in 2022 and you got nothing earlier, and you may not get anything for the next 4 or 5 years. So it can come completely front-ended, it can come completely back-ended. It is not going to come to you on a year basis like interest. Okay, that is first thing to know. Second, when you think that there is a pattern to it, saying I have invested in companies in Bombay, I have invested in companies in Bangalore, I have invested in companies in Pune and in Chennai and in Hyderabad and in Calcutta, and all the returns I have got only from companies in Bombay and Bangalore, I have not got any returns from anywhere else. It is just a coincidence. It is perfectly possible that you picked up good companies in these two cities and you did not pick up good companies in the other cities, but it is not enough to be biased. I am biased, and I know that in my first circle of shortlisting, if a company is from places which I do not like, I just don't go to the next step. Wrong, bias. It is completely wrong. You can pick up good companies from various locations. So picking a good company is important, but yes, you will over years develop your own likes and dislikes. You will like some groups, you will not like some groups, right? Like you created a perception that this group is a good group, you're likely that you will buy more shares in the same group. So you will do that, but it is not true that finding a pattern is not easy, but yes, finding good reputed groups is not very difficult either. Very quickly you have to have a perception saying this is not a good group, this is a good group, and you stick to the good groups. Even between brothers, we have seen one destroying value and one creating value, right? So these things happen. So in equity, don't try to find a geographic trend, a time trend, industry trend. This industry, if this industry does well, this industry does well, that's true. So to think that large cap will do well and small cap will not do well is wrong. To think small cap will do well and large cap will not do well is wrong. If I am a steering manufacturer, I am a small scale manufacturer, but my customer is a large cap, right? So from a small cap to a large cap, I said scale wrong. From a small cap to so a small cap steering manufacturer can do well only when the large cap automobile manufacturer does well. So understand some of these basics, right? More things to talk. Another important thing about equity is you cannot work harder, you cannot read more, you cannot talk to more people, you cannot do any of these things to improve your returns. You have to read, you have to talk to people, you have to have your own ability to understand the business, the ability to understand the promoter, all of this together. Just having one does not mean the others are not needed. You have to put in a lot of effort to do all these things, and you have to have the discipline of investing for long periods of time, because the returns can come from anywhere. All your returns can come from one geography called Bangalore. All your returns can come from one company, right? Suppose you had bought in 1980, you had bought Wipro worth 10,000 rupees for a minute, let us assume, and you have still held it, right? All the dividends you consumed, whatever you did, and everything else that you invested was wrong. That one success will hide all your other mistakes. So this is very important. There is nothing called an average success or things like that. One outstanding success can hide all your other mistakes. You find many companies like that. A company which is very successful in one line gets into many other lines and makes a mess of it, right? Larsen and Toubro used to be one of the greatest examples of diversification. Terrible diversifications. Everywhere they went and lost money. Even now their L&T finance is not in a great shape, right? I don't think it is making too much money, but then they've been in this industry for 10-15 years now, and so every example that I can give you for a success, I can also give you 10 examples saying how this failed. Diversification failed in some cases, it worked in some cases, right? So you don't know how to pick stocks. That's a big problem. So you will pick up stocks, you will upscale some, you will keep on buying more and more of a good company, you will sell off bad companies, you will buy companies where there is no track record visible and still make money, you will buy companies with very good track record and still lose money, right? Then suddenly, like me, a change of heart, I will not buy companies which cause harm, so I will not buy ITC. Nothing wrong with ITC, great cash flows, fantastic, everything is right. Friend of Twitter, right? It's a Twitter darling. I don't want to buy because my conception is it causes cancer. Those who have a different feeling can be my guest, but yes, I will not buy ITC. It does not mean you shouldn't buy ITC. I'm just saying I will not buy ITC. So more effort, don't know, time, you spend more time in the market, you will earn money. Not always true. Somebody who can spend 5 years in a company and all the returns coming in the 5th year and somebody who enters 2 weeks before that also makes the same return, right? So if you take PSU banks, 10 years no return, 1 year fantastic return. So if you spread it over 11 years, very poor return. But if you entered just last year, then fantastic return. So is it true that the next 10 years it can give these kind of returns? I mean, let us take a Bank of Baroda, 70 to 190, right? That kind of a jump in a year. Can it happen again? Can it go from 200 to 400? The most important answer is I do not know, right? Can it go from 200 to 400? Nothing stops it from going. Will it definitely go from 200 to 400? Yes, maybe over a long period of time, or just stay there. Look at BHEL. I have sold BHEL in 2007, right, for 15 years ago, and I got a good price for it, right? I got 300 plus for it, and today it was available to me in 2021 or 2020 at 25 rupees a share. That is the kind of value destruction that has happened. So is it a good share? Yes, for somebody who bought it at 25 and recently sold it at 89, it's a good share. For somebody who bought it at 300 and is still hoping that the price will come back to 300, he is living in a fool's paradise. He is already destroyed his wealth. So equity market returns are difficult to get. It is like spotting a tiger in a forest. With all the equipment that we go with, right, we have a jeep, we have a binocular, we have night vision lenses. With all that, even after the guide spots the tiger, we are unable to see it at times, right? Jisse sir wahan se ja raha hai, and you can't see it because of the foliage, right? So it's so difficult. So similarly in equity, Certain things work. Being invested for a long time in a bunch of good companies, which if you don't understand is called the index, or some good fund manager, will give you good returns in the long run. But there are no rules in equity which will always work, right? This rule worked in US, this rule worked in France, this rule worked in Japan, this rule did not work in India. Same rules, right? So it can be different geographies, different time frames, different industries. So don't try to find a pattern. Finding a pattern is difficult, and don't have high expectation, because when you have high expectation, you tend to invest less. So if I tell you that, oh, you will get 24% return, it means every 3 years your money is going to double. So you'll say, oh, if I put away 20 lakhs for investment, for retirement today, that's fine. Every 3 years it will double. So over a period of time, I would accumulate enough for my retirement. No, wrong. You will get a good return. There is no doubt about this. You will get a return greater than PPF. You will get a return greater than bank fixed deposits, right? You will get a greater return. Having said that, what return you will get is very difficult to say. Oh, so last 5-10 years, if you take returns of Nifty or Nifty Junior, the range should be something like from 10% to 13%, right? Oh, 7-8% also in bad years. But if you take an CAGR over 10 years or 12 years or 5 years, 7 years, whatever, you should get something between 13-14%. Let us say it is 13%. Now, 13% good? 13% doesn't look very good, because Indians are used to thinking, I should get 18, I should get 21, I should get 25. The answer is no, you will not get. But don't compare 13 to 7 of PPF. What you should do is to look at the real return and post check. So if you had invested in equity, you would have got, let's say, 13% return. If you had invested in PPF, you would have got 7% return. Let us assume for a minute inflation during this period had a CAGR of 7%. Then the return that you are getting in PPF is 0, right? It is 7 minus 7. And in equity, it is 13 minus 7, 6. So 6% compared to 0 of PPF looks like a much better return than just 7 versus 13. So first of all, don't try to predict equity returns. Even if you want to predict equity returns, predict on the lower side, because if you predict on the higher side, you will tend to save less and invest less. That's a bad thing to do. You shouldn't be trying to save less. So if you get a good return, so when somebody tells me that, Supra, you said 13%, I've got 21%, I say it's a very simple thing. That extra 8% which you have got, take it from your return and keep it in some side pocket in your head, because tomorrow when the returns are not so good, withdraw from that. So 1 year you got 13%, 1 year you got 11%, next year you get minus 4%. That is perfectly possible. So if you take the calendar returns of the Nifty, last 7 years have been positive. Does it mean this year also will be positive, or does it mean this year will be negative? Don't draw a trend line. It doesn't work. We all hope that trend works. We love to wish that trend works, but trend does not work in equities. Anybody trying to tell you that trend works is force fitting something which has already happened. This is exactly like drawing two lines between the pig production and the pig iron production. There is no correlation, but it could look like there is a very strong correlation. It's not there. Don't look for it. Thank you. There is another risk in targeting returns, that is when you target returns, you do not look at and do not appreciate the downside risk in equity. The downside risk in equity can be brutal. So somebody with a limited amount of money coming into equity markets thinking that they can make money can just get wiped out, completely ripped off, right? Market can be very, very cruel. So when you are entering the markets, be ready for bad downside risk also. Like I said, Nifty 7 years positive return could be a bad year this year. But if FIIs come back, it could be a great year. So we don't know what will happen. Don't draw a pattern. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.